Blake Snell, Giants, on the disabled list. 3 starts, ERA 11.37. At least he's consistent. He's got guys on base every inning. Pitches from the stretch the minute he leaves the breakfast table. He's just not wired in. It proves a point, though, because you got Snell. Jordan Montgomery's had not had the good start. Cody Bellinger has now fractured a rib. He's gone. JD Martinez has never played for the Mets. He's got a back issue, damaged goods when he got there. And what do they all have in common? They're represented by Scott Boras. And it proves that the topic, you need to be in spring training. Snell and Montgomery were not part of a team in spring training because Boras held them out trying to find a mega contract. So there's a lot of baseball to be played, but you can find the Giants near last place in the National League West because the Snell acquisition has not panned out. Auto racing, looking for auto racing fan to join us. Boy, this is an ugly story. IndyCar has stripped Roger Penske of victory points, winning money, and sanctioned his team. They took the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg victory away from Penske's lead driver, Joseph Newgarden, who won it running away. Investigation found they rigged the electronics in Newgarden's car. They have this thing on the steering wheel called push to pass. Mm-hmm. You can use it a couple of times. You use it in traffic to make a pass. It gives you an extra burst. They changed the electronics in the car. Newgarden's car and the third place finisher on that team also had the same thing, push to pass. They were using push to pass on restarts, and you can't do it. And evidently through all the technology they have, they discovered this. So they stripped them of the points. And Roger Penske is the most influential man who saved IndyCar racing. Not only legendary team, he owns all these different tracks, including the Speedway. So he was furious. And I don't know if they're going to fire people from those teams or not for doing this. We talked about the other IndyCar name, Michael Andretti. He had applied months and months ago for a charter to have a U.S.-based Formula One team. F1's 10 other teams say, no, we don't want an outsider coming in that take a bigger cut of the pie. Rather than viewing this as Michael Andretti, great success in IndyCar, he'll come here to F1, he'll build a good team, maybe he'll increase the value, help us with the marketing we're trying to do in the States. Anyhow, Michael Andretti's approach didn't work. They offered $250 million to join the grid in Formula One, and the F1 owners turned him down. Michael Andretti just announced they are building factories in Sandstone, England, which is the home of the great old English racetrack. Oh, yeah. And they're going to develop their cars there. They've started to build, and they're going to build the Cadillac engines there, and they're going to build a chassis there. And he says, I'm going to come back in 2026, and I'm going to show you what I have. Now, F1 said, can't come back till 2028. It's just utterly ridiculous, this, quote, ugly American, anti-American feel. So keep an eye on that Michael Andretti story if you like auto racing. Golf, Jon Rahm, who took all the money to go to LIV in Saudi Arabia, and now he hasn't won very much on the tour there, and nobody's watching the TV events back here in the States. Jon Rahm went public, and he told Greg Norman, let's go from 54 holes. Let's go to 72 holes. Let's make this golf that everybody recognizes. And Jon Rahm also said, let's reconfigure when we play team competition versus medal play, as they always play here in the States. And once we get those two things put together, go back to the negotiating table, and let's get this merger done. Rory McIlroy was just asked by the PGA's commissioner to rejoin the Tour Policy Board, which is made up of PGA executives and a certain group of PGA player members. They think McIlroy carries great clout at the negotiating table to sit across from the LIV representatives, including Greg Norman, and say, let's get this done. This is what I think we should do, etc. He's got a lot of common sense. So those are names in the news. And despite the fact your Giants are in trouble and they spent a lot of money on Blake Snell, and Blake Snell's on the disabled list, John Riley, the table is yours to comment on those names.
Yeah, you kind of feel bad for Blake Snell, right? I mean, that was such an opportunity for him, but he starts slow and he wasn't in spring training, and it's screwed. And he's not going to be in a good spot next year. Giants are going to pick up the deal for year 2.
Yeah, but that's Snell's option to walk away.
It's not Snell's option.
It's not the Giants' option.
So he might be all right, but the Giants are pissed. They're in a bad spot.
And you don't recover from oblique injuries by next Tuesday. That's a problem. I mean, if they shut him down for 3 to 4 weeks, and then he's got to get himself back into rhythm, that's another 2 weeks at least. And you hope there's not a setback in the oblique situation. It's tough. It goes back to the point you need to be in spring training and ramp up collectively with all the other pitchers on the staff.
Well, just think, if you were healthy, you get 30 starts a year, right? So he's going to probably only get half of that.
Yeah.
15 starts to make 30 million. That's $2 million a night. It's good money.
It's $2 million a night to put a lot of men on base and pitch out of the stretch.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
So the other names here that I think that are worth commenting on, I mean, Penske, that's interesting. Was it a deliberate breaking of the rules, or did he think he was innovating within the scope of the rules?
no, it wasn't Penske that was doing it. It was the people that run the team of Joseph Newgarden. Penske had no knowledge this junk was happening. This was happening below him in the garage, in the pits, where they thought they had a way to manipulate the push-to-pass mechanisms, the electronics, and they got caught.
It reminds me of Jim Rome. If you ain't cheating, you aren't trying. So, yeah, the Andretti thing, you got to think in terms of make the pie bigger. Not like, oh, they're going to take a slice of the pie and we're going to have less. That's zero-sum mentality.
Especially if they're trying to Americanize the sport here. By the time we get 2 years from now, I think we're going to have 5 F1 events here in the States.
Yeah, yeah.
Why wouldn't you not want Andretti to be part of that flag-carrying group that shows up on the grid?
Exactly. I mean, if they do it right, everyone makes more money, right? And the fans show up more, and there's more money on the table. So this is very short-sighted, in my opinion. John Rahm sounds like a smart proposal to kind of get some alignment there. I like that. And yeah, McIlroy, yeah, he's a pretty reputable dude. PGA needs to solve this problem. It's killing the sport.
Oh, the TV issues are choking them, both LIV and PGA. Outside of the Masters, the PGA numbers are down by more than 30% for all their other tournaments. And LIV, do you know where they're playing? No. You're going to watch them? No. They're playing in freaking Ecuador or something this weekend. It's absolutely been, I think, terribly detrimental to golf. Hey, our podcast